Hello and welcome back to this part of this loaning / rental system that you could use in a library, in business, or just about anywhere really, where you rent out or loan out items to people, to agents, to your staff, whatever it may be. This is for sure one of the platforms or a similar platform that you would like to use. So it is very easy to put together, and you see we've had a few videos so far. It is very quick, and Scriptcase, of course, helps us a great deal with that because it is speedy, fast in generating content. It allows us to create our applications with a few clicks, and it is so simple to use. Okay, so let's continue on then from where we had left off in the previous video. And we will start now, first of all, closing here the applications. We had their previous and a custom SQL select there that we had generated. And of course, we don't need that no more. So what we want to do now then is actually, we could start off generating our security. So if I come up here to our modules, choose security, and what I want to do then is create a new profile. Now note, once I've created profiles, they are then all stored here. Then I have a long list of all the profiles, of all the securities I've created. And of course, we can store them under the general population for myself as a user or for the project and so forth. In this case, I've not generated a security before, so I will just create a new one. I will go ahead and go next. And typically we create a group security for the majority of platforms that we do. But today we are creating a single user security. So this is based on a user level, okay, where the applications are basically linked to that individual user. Okay, so the other options that we have here is for applications. So this changes the security, so it is actually based on the application level, okay? And in that case, the application is related to the user and not the other way around, which is what the user is. And then of course we have the group security, which allows us to create a security system where we can manage all of the applications, the user groups, as well as the users and much more. And that is also done all within a few clicks. And of course, if you're using LDAP, then you can also use that for your authentication purposes, which is definitely worth checking out if you have an LDAP server and you are able to run that. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and click then the user option and go next. So we need to start off by choosing the connection. And because I already have a security table, I will choose to use existing tables. And then we have some options down here to protect logged in users or to use social networks. And if I choose to protect logged in users, Scriptcase will generate an extra application for me as well as some extra code that then ensures that when a user logs in, that they have previously logged out before, okay? Which in many cases, it is actually quite important. It is something I generally like to add, but today I will not. We also then have the option to use social networks. So we can use Google or Facebook to log in to your platform if that is something you want. I'm just going to go ahead and click next today and then continue with the setup. So because I already have a table, I then need to choose the table here and then specify all of my fields that I have available within that table, as I am doing so now. So we don't have any options here for the two-factor authentication, and we have no picture in there. So I'm going to leave those fields empty. I'll come here to settings, and we don't actually have a settings table in here. So I will actually go next, and of course, the fields are not filled in. So what are we going to do? Well, doesn't leave us much options then, does it? We have to actually go and add these options into our database table. Because of course, in some cases, we would already create our table, add those initial fields, and then we come to this point and we are missing some options. So instead of continuing, I'm just going to go back and I will choose to create the table. I'll go next, okay? And just like that, it says it already exists. Some of the settings are too long. Let me see then here the SQL. We can check here the SQL settings. from what it actually does. And of course, we can even download that. So my mistake now really was to create or delete the previous table. So I haven't done that, but Scriptcase has still gone ahead and made those adjustments for me. So I'll go next. And now I can choose the prefix of applications. I can also choose when this application expires, as in what happens then. Does it redirect to the login page? Does it display a message and then redirect? Or does it do nothing? That is entirely up to you, okay? So I'll leave it as no action right now. The encryption, we can choose an encryption and, let's go with MD5 today. And then we can add all of these further options in here. We can add a security log if we wanted to. And because I've not actually created my menu yet, I will have the security menu go ahead and create that for me. Now, I do not want a tree menu, so I will choose the standard menu as default. We have further options here, such as using Suite Alert and settings and so on. We can remove those if we want to. There's really no need for settings in this platform. And I'll also go here to login. We can adjust the user login, how long or short their username should be, as well as the password. We also have then the email settings. Now we can add further options in here. And of course, generally you would need to. And then we can also retrieve the password. Now, if we look here at retrieving the password, it does say to send a new email. Again, even the next option, send an email with a link. Okay, even the first option, send an email with a password. So the email settings here are really required. We do really need to add these. So I'll just add some default data in here. We can always go and adjust this later. It doesn't matter what I'm adding here really. But of course, it's always good to have some content there, and at the same time, something maybe that you recognize. So when you come to modify that data within the applications, because you can do that, you will also be able to identify that with ease. Of course, we do also have the option here to not use the custom, but to click here on the edit or API option, and that allows us then to add an email API using the various options. For instance, we have here the typical SMTP gateway that we can use. We have Mandrill, we have Amazon SES, also all for email that we could then use within our application. So in this case, I'm going to skip that. I'll leave it as it is. And let's just continue with the options we have here. So we have then the option for new users, whether new users can register with our platform if they require an activation email. In that case, Scriptcase, or the platform, should I say, the platform will send them an email once they have registered, and they will have to confirm their account, okay? And with that, you then also have the activation code, which is then in the database, and that provides that. We also then have the email to send an email to the administrator to let them know a new user has registered and, of course, also verified their account. We have then also a login template. Now, we can use the default Scriptcase login, which is what we are going to do today, but you can also use external libraries. So we can enable external libraries here, reload that, and then we can simply choose a login template that is available. Now there are one or two default templates available within the samples libraries. Do check that out. Of course, if you are into having something really snazzy, check out over on my own store. There I have recently just posted some login templates that you can download that will work out of the box with various themes also. So be sure to check that. You also have some authentication methods here. So we can enable two-factor authentication. Again, this does require an API using Google. Okay, so Google authentication, SMS, and email. They all use the Google API, so you do need to enable that also. In this case, we are going to skip that and just click Next. Okay, so then we have our login name and our password, the username, as well as the admin email address. Now, in most cases, it is a good idea to go ahead and up that information. Now, in most scenarios, it is a good idea to actually update that information now with the correct information. Okay, so you have your correct email address in there, you have the login and password that you want to use, and so forth. You can, of course, log into your platform once it's been deployed and then also make those adjustments there within the back end. For now, I'm just going to go ahead and click the next button, and now I have the option to save this profile. So I can save the profile, I can give it a name, and I can say single security, for instance, or single loaned security, for instance. Let me do that, single loan security. And just like that, I can then also choose here the target, whether that should be available for all users of my development environment, so public, or only for this project, okay, which is usually a very good idea. I prefer that. It keeps things a little tidier and easier to manage. But then you also have user. So if you actually know you are, say, for instance, you have 2, 3 developers or more using your environment, then you may want to set those options under user, and of course, that would then only be available to you. Okay, so I will leave it as public. I'll just generate the security. And then Scriptcase will generate our applications as well as the security records and so forth that are required. And from there, we can go ahead and open the project or generate the source code. So if I go ahead and generate the source code for these 8 applications will then be generated. Okay, and if I go ahead and close that, and I come out of here of my created security folder, because Scriptcase generally creates a new folder for every security that it generates. So there I have then the new security folder, which I can of course adjust, and within that then we have all of our applications for our security. And here we also have our security menu. So what I would do is I would select that, I would choose here move, and I would move that into the root folder. Okay, and that way I can actually access that. Now, if I go ahead and click here run on the login, for instance, we then have here our login. And if I enter here admin as the username and password, I can log in, and then just like that, I have the security module with the option to change the user password, to change the users or view users, add settings, as well as the option to log off, which then takes me back to the login page. Okay, so now that we have done that, let's first of all come back here to root. We can then delete here the security folder simply by selecting the security folder, clicking here the delete button, and just like that, our security folder is gone. And now here, our new security folder, I can go ahead and click edit, and now I can change the name of this back to AT security as we had, and just like that the folder has then been updated, and of course our applications are all still there. There's no differences there. It's only a folder structure to organize our applications and content. Okay, so then if I come back here to root, we have then our menu application, and of course there we want to start adding all of our newly created applications and then add them to the menu, which we will be doing in the next video. So be sure to check that out, continue on within the next video where we will add the final adjustments to our menu application and clean that up so that we can access all of our people who are loaning items, as well as the objects that are being loaned, the information pages, and of course everything else that we want to have included there. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.